We got us a corpse and cartridge occasion.
Mortal Kombat characters can do this. Most Street Fighter characters can do this. Even Akuma. Akuma, you were able to sidestep his fireball, but guess what? Another fireball is coming your way. Boom, didn't they make Street Fighter all Tekken together before? Well, the thing that they did for Tekken characters in this game, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, is they basically made them Street Fighter characters. They gave them 2D jumps. They gave them EX and meter, right? So they fully embraced the Street Fighter. But then also, they gave a lot of characters fireball projectiles. And I don't know, how well you see Raven through that dagger, right? Raven's throwing daggers, right? So that's basically his form of like projectile. And also what you have to note as well is they took away the 3D mechanics also, right? The Tekken characters can't sidestep, right? They don't have like tail spins and screws and power crushes. They lost all of their Tekken mechanics. So if they did a Tekken Cross Street Fighter, that's what they would need to do for the Street Fighter characters. The Street Fighter character, but see, this is where it doesn't work. Street Fighter characters, you can't really take away their projectiles, their shoryukens. You can't do that. That's the character. What is Ryu without his fireball? That's why they left Akuma's fireball. The 2D mechanics is more a part of the identity of Street Fighter characters than the 3D mechanics are a part of the Tekken characters, right? Tekken characters, their identities is specific moves. Flash, electric, death fist, not sidestepping and stuff like that. If they did do a Tekken Cross Street Fighter, it would be very hard to... I mean, you basically would have to do the same thing again. You would have to give Tekken characters projectiles and fireballs and meter again to even the playing field. Because that's why Akuma had the advantage. Akuma came into Tekken 7 and he had all of the Tekken mechanics and Street Fighter mechanics. And I think if they did that, it would be so different from Tekken, and I don't know if Tekken players would like it, because Tekken players hate everything, right? Tekken players act like everything sucks, right? So if you made Tekken characters not Tekken characters, and if you made them 2D characters, you basically end up with a variation of Tekken 8. That's why I wouldn't want it. What Moon is explaining. Yeah, if they did a Tekken Cross Street Fighter, it would not be. And I don't think Tekken players realize that. I don't think Tekken players realize how much identity you would lose trying to balance the two. It would have been cool to see this happen, but it never will happen. Because you also got to talk about the biggest hurdle now is both Ono and Harada, right? Those are the two guys who agreed to do this. Ono and Harada way back when had a really great idea of let's put these two titan of fighting games together. And first off, the first one they were going to do was Street Fighter Cross Tekken, right? And this game, to my knowledge, failed. It failed in terms of sales. It fails in terms of getting an audience. And also, what I believe is that there was a lot of monetization backlash. This game released in an era where everyone wasn't so accepting of monetization. So they did a lot of stuff and the game failed, right? But also if you think about just the concept of Street Fighter and Tekken collaborating, it should be what Akuma was, which was a smashing success. And the fact that this game wasn't that, the fact that most people didn't even hear about this game and they heard about it later is crazy. This should have been one of the greatest fighting games ever made. Just from what I hear. I never played it, but I hear people don't like it. They only like the concept of it. Which, yeah, the concept of it is fire, right? But going back to what I was saying, right? The agreement was between Harada and Ono. Ono's no longer there at Street Fighter. New people are there at Street Fighter. And also, Ono left the company in not a nice way. So would those people who are now in charge honor his commitments? Probably not. Street Fighter was in a tough spot after Street Fighter 4 with this game and also Street Fighter 5. But since then, they recovered so strong. And them collaborating with Tekken is probably an afterthought, right? Especially with Tekken 8 doing so poorly, they're probably like, nah, why would we do that? That's going to slow us down. And I keep going back to this because it's the whole foundation of the argument. The agreement was made between Ono and Harada. Ono left the company. Harada is still here, but Harada wants to retire. He wants to retire. He talks about retiring like every month on Twitter. He talks about how the players don't like him, how he's tired, he's stressed out, You know, it's really sad to see what the developers are becoming on Twitter. They know that the players hate them. They know that the players hate their game. They are, from them being some of the greatest developers in the industry, and this is how it's ended for them. It's sad. All because of Tekken 8 and a mistake with their philosophy. They thought we would like Tekken 8. They didn't think that they were going against the players. From that perspective, it was just a very bad mistake. They thought we would like the aggression. Because, I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense. What do players like about Tekken? They like combos, they like attacking. No one likes defense except for the people who are really good at defense, which when you think about the majority of the Tekken players is not much. So it sounds like a good idea to play into the combos and play into the offense, but for some reason it didn't work. It turns out people didn't like more of what they like. With all of that controversy going on, Harada, it's starting to weigh on Harada. Like, you can see his tweets where he's talking about, like, you know, these guys are whatever. I'm tempted to pull up a tweet to show you, but I don't even want to go there, right? The point is, the developers get a lot of backlash and they're just tired. Harada's probably going to retire. He said after Tekken 9, but if Tekken 8 keeps going the way that it's going, he may even just step out at Tekken 9. But see, the reason why he may not step out after Tekken 8 is because maybe he would like to do one final banger. You know, like what's that one lady who was in charge of Star Wars and she wanted to try to, you know, create one more banger before she retired? She couldn't do it. She can't do it because her philosophy and her ideology was terrible. It wasn't Star Wars at all. It's kind of that mindset of, like, no one wants to retire like on a failure. You want to retire being loved, celebrated, you know? Maybe Harada really will do one more Tekken after Tekken 9, because Tekken 9 is confirmed. He already said Tekken 9 is going to drop sometime around the PlayStation 6. The PlayStation 6 is supposed to come in 2027, maybe 28. Like, so that's when Tekken 9 is going to happen. So maybe he will just try to lock in one more time and really deliver a Tekken game that everyone loves, can celebrate, that honors the franchise, the legacy, and then after that he will fade off into the distance. And if you look at that timeline, there's no room for Tekken Cross Street Fighter. Ono's gone, we talked about that. Harada will be gone. The two people who agreed to do it will be gone, and you will have Nakatsu, because Michael Murray's retiring with Harada as well. They're leaving together. So Nakatsu will be here, fresh face, no connections to Street Fighter, and then the Street Fighter guys are fresh faces with no current connection to Tekken. And when that era comes, it's all gone with Harada and Michael Murray. At one point in time, Tekken Cross Street Fighter is something that we could have gotten, but things just went a certain way and it never happened. But I mean, one thing we can celebrate is that all of these fighting games are basically canon. Akuma is canonically a part of Street Fighter. We still have to debate whether or not the Akuma in Tekken 7 is the same Akuma in the Street Fighter universe, because there is that viral meme of what was Ryu doing when Jin waged World War VI, right? So that's why people think it's probably a different universe. But regardless, Akuma's canon to Tekken, Geese is canon to Tekken. And then if you look at the characters who's canon to Geese's universe, that's when you talk about Chun-Li and Street Fighter. And then once you go down that route, everything is connected. But also, for all the people who do like the idea of a Tekken Cross Street Fighter, you can celebrate at the fact of DLC characters and guest characters. The guest character generation will give us a small portion of that, right? You can have someone like Chun-Li show up in Fatal Fury and, you know, etc. The question is just like with Tekken is just not at all equipped to deal with projectiles. And we see that with characters like Anna, Victor, etc. So when you put one of these 2D teleporting projectile type characters in a game, it's just going to be so crazy, bro. Even Harada said it. Harada was talking about Eliza, and he was like, you know, if we would put Eliza in the game if we were able to work on her 2D mechanics or something. He said something like that. But basically, he was talking about the 2D mechanics just is so problematic for Tekken. I am interested to see what guest character Tekken does. Like, not talking about guest characters outside of fighting games, but I'm talking about what another fighting game, whether it be Guilty Gear, you know, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. I think we all can agree that they should do some kind of guest character with another fighting game. But the debate would be what game and what character. But I think they should over the course of Tekken 8's lifespan. It would be awesome. It would be awesome for sure.